Hello, everyone. My name is Sharon Perez, and I am with Lenzing Fibers. Welcome to today's Collaborating for Today's Activewear Industry. We are going to be discussing how fiber partners are meeting today's sustainability challenges. Sorry, put the wrong button there. So this webinar has been organized by Lenzing. Lenzing is a performance company that turns CO2 and sunlight into highly functional, emotional, and aesthetic products across the globe. To learn more about Tencel, please visit tencel.com. For today's discussion, we are going to be discussing, as mentioned, how fiber partners have come together. And the reason for this webinar is as brands today are pivoting their material strategies to align with their corporate sustainability goals, sourcing materials for performance is no longer enough. They must also consider the sustainability attributes such as the raw materials, production, and social responsibility. This webinar is a roundtable discussion of how fiber producers DuPont, Lenzing, and Indorama Ventures came together with fabric mill partners to develop fabric that provides solutions for today's activewear industry. Sorry about that. So some background information that I'd like to share just so that we can wrap our minds as to the industry that we are all a part of. The global apparel market is valued at $3 trillion and accounts for the world's, not just the country, the world's GDP, 2% of that. And then more than 300 million people are employed in our industry, which includes the entire value chain, including farming. And we also know that when using the base year of 2015, the demand for apparel is expected to double. Now, sadly, after consumer use, 80% of the garments end up in landfill. And that means that approximately 50 million tons of apparel and footwear are discarded globally. And our industry also, sadly, produces 1.2 billion tons of the total greenhouse emissions. Doing that, so sorry. Now, specific to our industry, we're today going to focus on activewear. And when we just look at the activewear segment, in 2008, activewear sales reached $80.1 billion, according to Euromonitor, and it's expected to grow roughly 17% by 2023 to $94.1 billion. Now, we're all familiar with the group, NPD Group. Their vice president and senior industry advisor stated that consumers are willing to spend more on products, and I put it in bold here, that is made sustainably. That's very interesting, and this is why we are going to focus on that during our discussion. And according to the Allied Market Research, the global activewear industry is expected to reach $547 billion by 2024. So that's in, what, 4 years? And when looking at technical fabrication, what will continue to be of importance will be, last year they did a search on key terms and search. Moisture wicking was featured in 39% of more products year over year. And products that were described as breathable grew by 85%. I also, was interested to see, as we're going through COVID, we're all, going through this crisis together. And I was curious to see what trend information was out there. In fashion suits, I just wanted to highlight this quote that says, people are feeling super anxious and really want to be prepared as we move forward into the future. And, quote, we believe that while this crisis is creating a lot of damage, it will also lead to a lot of creative innovation and a global realization that we need to change our habits for a better future. I think we can all agree with that. So to move on to today's format, we will hear from each of our panelists, and will be followed by a discussion. You, our attendees, please feel free to send in questions. There's a Q&A section in this platform. We will try our best to answer them as we are discussing. We will also, if we have a moment at the end, also address some of the questions. But if not, I will be sharing everyone's contact information, and please, please feel free to reach out and ask us questions. I think all of my colleagues can agree that we like to hear from you and like to get your questions. Then, as a follow-up towards the end, we will be sending out a link to today's discussion. As Ashley mentioned, this webinar is being recorded. So at this moment, I'd like to introduce my fellow panelists, starting in alphabetical order by company. First is Alexa Raab. She's Global Brand and Communications Leader for Sorona, and she's at DuPont Biomaterials. Second, we have Simon Whitmarsh-Knight, EMEA Marketing Director, Performance Textiles Business for Hyosung Creora. And third, we have Susan Lynn, Global Brand Manager for Indorama Ventures, PCL. Thank you, my fellow colleagues, for joining me today for this discussion. So first, I'd like us to go over each of your companies and your fiber portfolios. And we'll start off with DuPont Sirona. Alexa?
Great. Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Sharon, and thanks for having us today. So at a high level, Sorona is a bio-based high-performance polymer that offers a wide range of benefits for the apparel industry. And when I talk to you about the wide range of benefits, some of the things that we think about are the incredible softness that it delivers, really just a superior hand feel. It also delivers excellent stretch and recovery and inherent stain resistance. And as I said prior, this is for a wide variety of applications, ranging from denim to yoga wear. Last year, we introduced a bio-based faux fur to the market. So really, as we expand our reach, we're also seeing that Sorona can also be integrated into a wider variety of applications. Thank you so much. So as we said earlier in the beginning of this call, DuPont Sirona is part of DuPont Biomaterials. And I think at the higher level, we'll talk a bit further in the call about the sustainability goals that DuPont as a corporation announced last year. But really our commitment at DuPont Biomaterials is to three things. Sustainability, of course, which means that our products are bio-based and ideally also recyclable. We also want products that are performance-driven, so products that are better in performance than some of the incumbents. We truly believe that there's no need to sacrifice performance when you're choosing more sustainable products. And then, of course, accessible. So we believe it's important to make products at scale that are accessible and affordable to the average consumer. So we're not just developing niche products that are very expensive, but we want to make sure that we are delivering higher performance, competitively priced materials while also reducing our environmental impact on the industry. So again, just to highlight some of the unique performance properties of Sorona, as I talked about before, we really deliver these performance properties across a wide variety of applications from denim to yoga wear. But I think some of the highlights, stretch and recovery, of course, when Sorona is being used, it really allows activewear, which of course is relevant for this call today, to retain its shape and resist bagging. So over multiple wears, you will see that Sorona allows for exceptional shape and stretch and recovery as opposed to things that are getting really baggy, which of course, we don't want to see because we want to ultimately prolong the life of our garments. Of course, we talked about it being renewably sourced. It delivers exceptional softness. And we're also seeing that the Sorona unique molecular structure really delivers wrinkle resistance, particularly as it relates to workwear. But again, I think as we go back to the activewear industry, some things that are really important to note for this audience is that also, quick drying, reduced pilling. I think sometimes, as we increase our activewear, uses, we often can see pilling in our yoga wear specifically. So again, I think this reduced pilling, quick dry, and fade resistance, which enables vibrant color over time. The more times you wear it and the more times you wash it, it's just some of the unique performance that you'll see with Sorona. And then again, as it relates to the activewear audience for today, this is just some of the summaries of the different applications that we play in, particularly sportswear and yoga wear, knit tops. It's interesting because I think especially in today's environment, these unprecedented times, and I know, we'll talk about this again later in the call, is that you appreciate really nicely made yoga wear. So, to go back to my earlier comment about reduced pilling, a lack of fading, things that retain their shape, I think it's really exciting that, Sorona in use really can enable some of these properties.
Activewear clothing. You're right. We do appreciate well-made activewear clothing.
Absolutely.
We're living in it. Exactly.
We're spending so much more time in it, Sharon.
Yep.
Great. So something that's really exciting for us, at DuPont Sirona is we most recently launched our Common Thread certification program. And partly, we really wanted to create something that enabled our belief in trust, traceability, and transparency all through the value chain. And as you'll hear us say, Sorona Fabrics, we believe in looking good, feeling good, and doing good. But what does that mean exactly? So part of what we created is this Common Thread certification program. And there's 5 sub-brands that are actually part of this Common Thread certification program, with different attributes and different qualification criteria. But ultimately, what it promises the consumer and the customers is that you can guarantee that this fabric has been certified and ensures a certain level of performance. So whether it's insulation, whether it's, the activewear, whether it's Sorona for spandex replacement, Sorona, Lux, a whole different 5 ranges of sub-brands that we launched that really just ensure the performance and accountability that we have started to see customers really expect and deserve from us.
Great. Thank you.
Sure.
And next, we'll move on to Hyosung Creora with Simon.
Thank you very much, Sharon, and thank you, Alexa. I guess we've also succeeded in confusing lots of people's different Alexas at home who are now trying to tell them the time or so we should have kind of warned people in advance. But anyway, thank you very much for kicking us off. Also, just to say thanks to you, Sharon and Ashley, for giving us a chance to join you today in our current sort of physically distant world. It's fantastic to be socially connected. So as we were discussing before the call, it's given us all the time to spend a bit of time together, talking, learning about each other's products and companies a bit more. And we hope, I guess, that's the aim of today's sort of roundtable and discussion. So thanks again. Also, just want to say, of course, to those who are listening, watching, we hope everybody's doing well. It's an unusual, scary time, but hopefully things are getting better, and this gives us a chance to really get going again and reconnect. So I guess I'm going to do probably just 3 things, Sharon. You gave us a very nice and tight brief, so I'm going to do my best to follow that for everybody, and then we can hear from Susan and also have a chance for some questions perhaps. But I'd like to do 3 things today. One, really just perhaps introduce Hyosung to our audience. Number 2, talk a little bit about collaboration and specifically our work together with Lenzing. And then I guess through the Q&A and through the questions from the audience, we'll talk a little bit more about sustainability and really importantly how things are impacted in the value chain, how we're all connected actually. So those three things, we'll achieve 3 of those. All right, next slide. Thank you very much. So Hyosung may be a new name for some of you on today's call, but actually we've been around for a long while. We have been described in the past as sort of the best kept secret in the trade, which is sort of nice, but it's about time we made a bit of a change to that. And really building on the fantastic work of our global teams these last sort of 10, 15 years. Recently, in the last 2 or 3, 4 years, we've started to develop more strategic, closer relationships with our mill customers, brand and retailers. Those customers, both direct and indirect, coming to us, looking for more solutions, asking for more help about unique fibers, new stories. So that's enabled us to help sort of building more marketing together, more stories to help the value chain align, and more partnerships. And one of the results of that is working with Lenzing and being part of today's discussion. So a little bit about what we do. Hyosung actually is quite unique in the marketplace in that we offer a full range of premium spandex, nylon, and polyester. And we also consider ourselves this total solution provider. So whilst we're making fiber at the start of the value chain, we also have a lot to do throughout the links of the chain. And we also get involved with helping customers interpret trends and design garments. And we'll talk a little bit about our fantastic fashion design team later on in the conversation. So pretty unique in offering those 3 different fibers. And that really talks to the market's need now, the market requirement for very high quality, premium, and more multi-function fibers, fabrics, and garments. So some of our fiber solutions include the Creora spandex brand, and increasingly so now Creora Regen, which is our GRS certified 100% recycled spandex. We also have a growing range of multifunction, cooling, warming, highly durable nylon polyesters. So that would include MyPan Regen, recycled nylon, 100% recycled nylon. We also have AquaX and Askin, which are our brands of cooling polyesters and nylon, and more Robic fiber, which is a highly durable, high tenacity nylon. And more of that, Sharon, we are doing as a recycled version. So again, as the trends and the marketplace evolves, customers' needs continually increasing. As we know, all of us in the trade, we see this trend for multi-purpose, multifunction. So to offer now high quality functional fibers with now that recycled element to it as well. Again, lots of success and growing business with customers as we are able to offer those recycled multifunction fibers. Just very briefly on the rest of the slide, Hyosung is the largest spandex producer in the world. We are actually growing capacity. So last year, I think we had our 9th production site come on stream in just outside Mumbai. And of course, like our fantastic colleagues on the call, we're very proud to work with these leading brands and retailers around the world, not just in activewear, which is what we'll talk about today, but across many different segments. If in fact the word segment still carries some value, because again, we all know that things are coming together, segments are merging more and more.
Right.
So that's a little bit about who we are. Sharon, if you wouldn't mind going on to the next slide, thanks. Thank you. So just to say a little bit here about collaboration and how we approach collaboration. For us as a team and for me personally, collaborations are really important in a couple of fronts. One, on a human, from a human perspective, we're all connected. We're part of this complex system. And I think, the current climate has made us realize more than ever that we're all connected. We need each other. So collaborations really help to answer that need from a human point of view. Also from a commercial point of view, Sharon, I think collaborating helps align the value chain, if you like, and aligning the value chain means that we can probably get some adoptions quicker. We can help our brand and retailers adopt new ideas faster, and hopefully we can also sort of reduce waste, working more closely with mills and other partners through the value chain. So really that's what, for us, collaboration is all around. And we'll talk more later in the call about how that relates specifically to our connection with Lenzing in terms of new developments, new fibers and fabrics, especially for, it was work from home, but now let's call it work out from home in these current climate. And we'll talk a little bit about those specific fabrics and fibers together. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Simon. And now we'll hear from Susan at Indorama Ventures, who will give us a company profile and fiber portfolio, please. Thank you, Susan.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. We know you're very busy, but we appreciate you taking time out. And hopefully you'll learn a few things that you weren't aware of before. I'm here from Indorama Ventures, and some of you may be aware and know us, and others maybe this is an introduction. But we are one of the world's leading petrochemicals producers. We have a very expansive global manufacturing footprint. If you look over on the right, you'll see that we have 109 sites, manufacturing sites, on 5 continents and in 32 countries as of 2019. Actually, I think it's 33 now as of this year. Last year alone, we opened 22 sites. Most of this growth is through strategic acquisitions. The portfolio for Indorama Ventures, and we call it IVL, the portfolio comprises integrated polyester, olefins, which is also polypropylene, fibers, packaging, and specialty chemicals. Our consolidated revenue was $11.4 billion in 2019 last year. We are a public company. The IVL products serve major fast-moving consumer goods and automotive sectors, beverages, hygiene, personal care, tire and safety segments. This also includes, like the fast-moving consumer goods includes diapers and fem cares and wipes. So we're in a lot of different things. Our leadership positions, we produce 1 in 4 PET bottles are made from our polymers. 1 in 2 baby diapers are made from our fibers. 1 in 4 tires made from IVL fabrics, and 1 in 4 airbags are made from IVL yarns. Some of the companies that you may be familiar with in the U.S. are CoolVisions, Ariga. Well-known companies that you may also know are Wellman and Trevera in Europe. So that's a little bit about IVL. And now I'd like to share with you our product CoolVisions. And this is where we had some collaboration with Lenzing and Tencel. But CoolVisions is a dyeable polypropylene. We're the only ones that have been successful in being able to dye polypropylene. There have been others that have tried, but they haven't been able to get wash fastness or darker colors. So we feel really proud of this product. We worked on it for a very long time. And recently, within the past couple of years, we've introduced it in filament form, which is something everyone was really waiting for. The filament product is available in the dyeable. It maintains all the attributes of polypropylene in that it's very cool and comfortable. It's lightweight. It's lighter weight than any other fiber. Actually, as 100% CoolVisions, it floats on water. It has moisture management. It keeps you cool when it's hot out and keeps you warm when it's cold out. Thermally insulating. It's breathable. It's very durable. It's inherently stain resistant to water-based stains, so you really don't need any additional applications. And it's also environmentally friendly. It's very innovative in that it is dyeable. And so you have all, I mean, if you look at it, years ago in the 50s, Helly Hansen introduced polypropylene, but they were only really able to use the solution dyed, or some call it dope dyed, pigmented colors. So you're really limited. You have large quantities. You are limited to maybe 5 colors. But this really provides a lot of differentiation and new styling options because you can dye it just like you would dye polyester. It is also patent protected, and it's a registered trademark. And it's most importantly sustainable. So it's Okotex certified. The Higg index ranks it very high. It's highest among the highest of all sustainable materials. And because of the fact that it's now dyeable, we have lean production and faster cycle times because you don't have to have large quantities of colored fibers. You can dye, to need. And so you have reduced inventories as well. It uses low temperatures. And we have 2 products. We have CoolVisions Standard, which is a white for dyeing light to medium colors. We have CoolVisions Dark, which is like a gray color, and so you use that to get a dark color, such as navy, brown, etc. So you're using less dye stuffs as well. And because polypropylene is very light and takes in 0 moisture, it dries very quickly. So even from a consumer level, there's a sustainable story there as well, because they can just, the consumer can just hang it dry and it dries very quickly. So that's a little bit about CoolVisions. If you want to learn a little bit more besides contacting me, you can view more about it at cool-visions.com. Oh, and I might also mention that even though this is made in Thailand, in Rayong, we also have CoolVisions non-dyeable product, which is made at FiberVisions in the U.S., and so that's available in Staples. So I'm going to share, I'm sorry. Now here we have a slide. I'm really not going to go into it because I know we have limited time, but I wanted to bring your attention to the fact that we have 2 sustainable and safe products available. One is Deja recycled polyester. It's made of 100% post-consumer recycled polyester. And we have a new product called Eye Care, which is a heavy metal-free polyester. So it avoids the use of heavy metals, and it is in compliance. It meets compliance with some new regulations and legislation. So I can certainly share more with you about that if you are interested. And then I wanted to talk a little bit specifically. Oh, Sharon, I think we missed a slide.
Okay.
If you can back that up one more. Next. Maybe it got lost. It's about our CoolVisions and Tencel. Okay, so I think
we're talking about it down later on.
Oh, later on. Okay, fine. Yeah. So here on this slide we have IVL's commitment to sustainability, and we really have made a very strong commitment here. We have made a global commitment to the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. We have committed to recycle and reduce over 1.65 million tons of our carbon footprint. We currently recycle and will recycle 750,000 tons into our as feedstock into our polyester production each year, which is 50 billion bottles per year. And we have committed to invest $1.5 billion. So currently, we just, on March 23rd, during this pandemic, we hit quite a milestone of 50 billion bottles since 2011. So we hope that you will, it's really exciting. So we hope that you will take that pledge as well, and each and every bottle pledge to commit to recycle that bottle and help us in this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Susan, for sharing a little bit more about Indorama. You know, I'm here interviewing you, but I wanted to share also a little bit about what we do, and later on we'll talk about why we collaborated. So I'll talk about our Tencel fiber briefly for those that are not familiar. So as I mentioned in the opening, Lenzing is a performance materials company that turns CO2 and sunlight into highly functional, emotional, and aesthetic products across the globe. So we go from forest, we took wood chips, we make it into pulp, and we make fiber. And that's really where we stop. And then from there, our fiber goes into nonwoven applications and also textile applications. We produce 1 million tons of fiber per year, and we're a 2 billion euro company. We've been making viscose fibers for 80 years, modal fiber for over 60 years, and our lyocell fiber for 27 years. And in that time, they're really, you know, to commercialize and to produce a fiber, as you know, it's not like you can just innovate and introduce a new fiber every year. So I'll talk a little bit about some updates to our fiber production. So here are some of our fields of application. As I mentioned, our fiber goes into nonwoven and into textiles. So here you can see our segments are textiles, and our branded fibers are Tencel. We have nonwoven fibers that go into wipes, and that in packaging goes into VSL. And then we have an industrial segment, which encompasses packaging and also FR applications, and that portion of our segment, our fibers are named or branded as Lenzing. Now, an update to our technology from our modal fiber, which we've been making for 60 years, we updated and we now offer a spun-dyed, solution-dyed fiber, which is known as our modal eco-color technology. And the benefit of this fiber is that there is, if the fiber is already dyed with color, then you don't need to dye the yarn in the fabric or in piece dye, right? So that translates into a lower environmental impact. So we have a reduction in the usage of water and in the energy. And when you compare that to conventionally dyed fabrics, you know, there are some impressive numbers. You know, just in energy, you save 50% because now you don't have to use any of the equipment and the machinery and the washing for dyeing. And then our next fiber is our lyocell fiber, which is, we like to highlight the sustainable production because we call it our closed loop manufacturing process. We're able to reuse the water and the solvents, and we can recover the solvent at over 99% and reuse it. And some of the key benefits of our Tencel fiber is the botanic origin, as I mentioned. All our wood is FSC or PEFC certified, and it comes from either certified or controlled wood sources. And then another thing that I want to highlight as one of the benefits as we're talking about sustainability is that our fibers are certified as biodegradable and compostable. So that's really important when as people are thinking about the end of life of their products, right? Then looking at the Higg index, this slide shows you that our Tencel lyocell fiber has best ranking when you compare it with generic lyocell and generic viscose and conventional cotton and polyester. You can go into the Higg index and specify our Tencel lyocell fiber in comparison to others. And an update to our Tencel fiber, which we've been making for over 27 years, is our Refibra technology, which is really exciting because what this fiber does is it provides a solution for circular economy. What we have done is we have taken cotton textile scraps, both post-industrial and post-consumer as of very recent, and we take the cotton scraps and we convert them into pulp. Since cotton is also a cellulose fiber, we convert it into pulp and then blend it with pulp from our wood, and then we go through that closed-loop manufacturing process like our lyocell. And what this means is you have new virgin fibers that are made out of waste. So we're taking away the waste out of the equation, and we're able to make brand new fibers. And some of the highlights that I'd like to mention about the fiber is not only do you have the sustainable production, but a lot of the other qualities and benefits from our lyocell fiber, like enhanced breathability, also strength, and it's gentle on skin. Our fibers are known to be very soft. And a lot of times, because something is soft, people think that, oh, it must be weak. But in reality, one of the key benefits of fiber is also its strength. And I asked each one of my guests to talk about the sustainability approach for the organizations that they represent. So at Lenzing, we have a 3-pillar approach for transparency in the supply chain, and I think that's really interesting when you're thinking about sustainability. So similar to how DuPont has their common thread program, we also have an identification system. So we can certify your fabrics to confirm that it has our fiber in it. And we also have partnered with Textile Genesis to do blockchain. And with Textile Genesis, if you guys want to learn more about them, I recommend that you look them up. They recently, they were the H&M Foundation Award winner out of just under 6,000 entries. They were granted €1 million to expand. Then they also have a TE Textile Exchange partnership to do a pilot of the chain of custody for viscose and wool. And we've done some beta testing with U.S. brands. And then lastly, we also have like supply chain collaboration and planning, right? So we want to also be mindful of not overproducing, but also meeting the needs of our partners. And so we are able to offer with our direct customers, who'd be yarn spinners, we plan ahead, and we like to, have that open communication to ensure that we're meeting the demands, but also not overproducing. And one last point about sustainability is we announced in March, it was really tough during the whole COVID pandemic. We released our sustainability report, which is something great to highlight, but at the same time being mindful of what everybody is going through. And as Simon mentioned earlier, thank you so much for joining us. We're doing this virtual call from our home because this is all we can do. Normally, we probably would have done it at a trade show, but here we are. We're making the best of it, and I'm hoping that everyone is doing well and staying safe. So in our sustainability report, a couple of things that I wanted to highlight is, we have announced that we're reducing our CO2 emissions by 50% until 2030, and we also have a net zero CO2 emissions by 2050. Now, being mindful of the time, I do invite everyone to look up our sustainability report. If you can't find it, let me know. I'd be more than happy to share with you. It's 133 pages long, and it goes very much in depth into everything that Lenzing is doing and planning in terms of sustainability. Now, the reason for this talk, I wanted to set, the foundation to get an understanding of what each of one of us does. And then now I'd like to focus on, why this collaboration? Why did we choose to come together? Why does the collection of fabrics that our organizations worked on, why do they make sense? And so with that, I'd like to ask Alexa if she would share DuPont's point of view as to why our partnership makes sense.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks again. So in October of last year, DuPont Biomaterials and Lenzing launched a new mill certified fabric collection, sustainable fabric collection that we honestly believe is the perfect match and all derived from nature. So as you had talked about prior, Sharon, you guys produce fibers that are made from wood. Sorona is partially plant-based in that it's made from industrial corn. But when you think about how the fibers work together, I think it's really, an exceptional example of a true collaboration. So as I had said at the beginning of the call, Sorona delivers superior comfort and stretch and recovery, particularly as it relates to knits and wovens. And then when you combine it with the Tencel fibers, it allows it to help Tencel maintain and enhance its soft and luxurious hand feel. So for this fabric collection, you'll see on the screen here, there was a wide variety of applications, including intimate apparel, activewear, ready-to-wear, and denim. And the two fibers work together to honestly just enhance each other. So I think in a lot of ways, it's a great example of collaboration, whether we think about it as it relates to activewear or just the overall industry. I think it's two partners or many partners working together to make each other better. And, this sustainable fabric collection that we had launched, derived totally from natural materials, is a great example of that collaboration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's one trend that seeing a lot of, people. One of the strategies that some of materials developers are taking is they're trying to keep natural fibers. In our industry, it's really, really challenging to not use synthetic fibers because of the wonderful attributes that they have. There really isn't a way to, at least we haven't discovered a way how to get those same characteristics from natural fibers. And so you're right, this collaboration and, enhancing the properties, but also maintaining that natural fiber, mix is really, really nice. Yeah. Thank you, Alexa.
Sure.
And I'd like to ask Hyosung, Simon, if you can explain a little bit about our partnership and why you think it makes sense.
Yes. Thanks again, Alexa. Thanks, Sharon. So hopefully you might remember me talking earlier about our wonderful fashion design team. You can see a picture of these guys and girls on the screen now. So this really talks to our definition in terms of collaboration and alignment through the value chain. Having a fashion design team in-house is not to really tell brands and retailers, how to design their own things, because people know their handwriting, they know their styles themselves. But people really value the fact that through this partnership, through the collaboration, we are able to take the global trends that are happening in the world and showcase them in actual finished products. So taking the trends and making them live, if you like, through our fashion design team, which many of our customers, especially the mills and brands and retailers, really value. So great to have an in-house design agency to bring to life the collaborations that we're doing. This started, Sharon, if you recall, back in ISPO last year, where we, thanks to your help and Andreas and also our old colleague Bala, who's elsewhere, we put together our first collection. And really it helped to answer, I think, two things that customers are looking for now. So one, of course, and yourself and Alexa just spoke to this is the blend of natural fibers, natural touch with enhanced performance. So longer lasting stretch and fit and recovery with the beautiful soft hand feel of something like Tencel fiber. So that really helps to, I guess, also link to the trend for us all. As we said at the top of the call, we're wearing sportswear. We're working out from home, so we tend to be wearing our clothes longer. So comfort is still the most important thing that customers look for. And linking together helps to answer that particular high need of consumers for comfort, but also with performance. And I think the second thing there, Sharon, as you've mentioned, another sort of aim of this call was to talk about the sustainability goals and aims of all of us within the business. I think commercially, professionally, and personally for lots of us, this is a very critical part of why we're in this business. So, of course, by linking together with yourselves, we were able to demonstrate specific sustainable benefits, whether that be, dope-dyed spandex helping to reduce, water usage, which you've mentioned there in your sustainability report, or our Creora EcoSoft spandex, which allows temperatures, lower heat setting temperatures, so an overall reduction in energy use. So a couple of global things that we're answering, and then specifically talking to, the sustainable desires of brands, mills, and retailers.
Yeah. Thank you. This collection, the garments, you mentioned about your team, Claire and Louis and Kay there in the picture. This collection and the garment samples really, really look amazing. The fabrics, people always react really positively to them. Really do have an excellent hand feel and drape. And, I'm wondering how, and I know that I wanted to get to questions later, but I feel like this is so relevant right now that as we're talking is, it's very challenging that we can't show and feel these garments now that we're all working from home and working in our own little silos. And one of the questions that I have is like, how are you, Hyosung, how are you, sharing this information and allowing your customers to be able to appreciate these fabrics? What are you working on? What are you doing?
Sure. I'll be very brief, Sharon, then we can pass the baton on to Susan. But it's a great question. We started this particular collaboration with yourselves last year. We'll be bringing out new things in new end uses towards the end of the year, so it continues. But you're right, how do we manage to get that point of view across? And I think it's critical for all of us in the future. So, we're working on lots of different ways to try to tell a story to customers. Obviously, more video meetings at the moment, digital marketing to portray that story, and taking those global trends and presenting them as seasonal collections. So, sometimes whilst we're in this complex system, we can tend to overcomplicate things a little bit, Sharon, in our business industry. So we're just trying to keep things as simple as possible, trying to help customers find what they look for a lot faster, and help those adoptions, or in the current stock management system, try and help them deal with the key priorities in a more in a faster way.
Okay, thank you, Simon. Oh, sorry, I hit the wrong button there. And then we'll move on to IVL. And Susan, if you can please explain a little bit more to our listeners about the collaboration, the collection.
Sure. So when companies are evaluating sustainability and corporate responsibility, they want to really be looking at the entire value chain and the life cycle of a product. So the collaboration really allows us to go back to the beginning of the value chain and really take the best and most sustainable portions or products and combine them to draw on the strengths and inherent attributes of both of the fibers. So we really found that this was very valuable for our companies to start with, and then for the brands and retailers as well. Collaborating strengthens supply chain relationships. It will capitalize on brand recognition. So all of the companies here today and our brands have very strong brand recognition, which in turn allows brands and retailers to gain interest as well. It also offers a lot of creativity and increased circularity in fashion, and provides differentiation. In our case, we've got most of these fabrics were combinations of CoolVisions filament, which is very silky, soft, has a beautiful drape, but it also has a lot of inherent attributes, and that was combined then with the Tencel staple fiber. Our staple fiber is similar as well in that you have a very nice, cottony, soft hand. So you have a lot of different types of fabrics, both knits and wovens, and you're really getting a lot of increased performance and possibly rejuvenating trends. Besides knits and wovens, there's denims as well. In the case of wovens, something like CoolVisions also adds some inherent wrinkle resistance, and it also adds that soft hand. But these collaborations really marry the benefits, inherent benefits of both fibers. So we do have a collection that is available. We can certainly put you in touch with the mills that we worked with. In the case of the CoolVisions and Tencel mill collaboration, many of the mills were in Taiwan, where I think a lot of brands and retailers are working. But of course, we can develop additional fabrics here in the States as well, wherever you may source.
Yes. Thank you, Susan. And now I wanted to ask you each a couple of questions. We're focusing on collaboration, and, this has been a great conversation learning about how we've come together. A lot of times I think people might think, oh, if you're competitors, then you can't really collaborate. And, we've shown here that that's not really the case, that when we work together, we're actually better, right? And so I'm curious if any of you can share about some great examples of collaboration and partnerships that are outside of our industry, outside of the textile and apparel industry, that you think we as an industry could learn from.
I can chime in here, Sharon.
Great.
So, it's interesting. So whenever I think about great examples of collaborations and partnerships outside of textile and apparel industries, I go back to these products and companies that stand for something larger than the products that they necessarily sell. So it's interesting because I remember when Tom launched their shoes, right, the buy one, give one model, it was revolutionary. And I think partly what made that so successful is that it made being socially conscious less heavy-handed and more accessible for the average person because, the shoes were fairly priced. So, anybody could, you could buy them. It wasn't tremendously expensive and you felt good about what you were doing. And I think we've seen that buy one, give one model replicated. Something that I think about is, when I go to Target and Target, whatever your feelings are on Target, they do have some good products. So there's actually a school supply brand that they sell called Yoobi. It's Yoobi. And the thing that I like about it is when you purchase something Yoobi branded from Target, they donate an item to a classroom in the United States in need. So I think, as we can look for some of these, I don't know if it's necessarily buy one, give one model, but in a way that we can make socially conscious decisions and make it more accessible to an average person, I think that's a great example for all of us to follow.
Yeah, I agree with that. Thank you.
Sharon, if I may just add one very quickly in terms of collaboration, thinking a bit further away from our industry at the moment in the UK, many of the TV channels are running a promotion, a campaign around Get Britain Talking, which was running before the current difficult situation, really around getting more people to talk to each other, with our increased awareness and issues with mental health, for example. So for me, it was a great example of the TV channels and the programs and other end user products collaborating. I think the best collaborations, really take you by surprise or educate or help you learn something new. And to be in a room with a family watching a bit of TV and then, the channel talks about in a very direct way, Get Britain Talking. We all have our things things we need to talk about, to see the impact on, my young family, etc., I think was very helpful. So for me, that was, a good example of something, outside a little bit of our industry.
Right. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I think that's, when we think about, the global pandemic, and while, it's really devastating what's going on all around us, and even some of us maybe personally, we're all affected one way or another, but one great thing that has come out of this is this sense of, not only, what we're talking about today, collaboration, but this sense of unity, this general sense of kindness and thoughtfulness. It's really, really inspiring. And, I know that we've all probably discussed it with colleagues, family, and friends at one point or another, and that I really hope, and I'm sure that you agree, that this continues even once we, whatever the future may look like, that we're able to continue with that. And with that question, I'd like to know, what lessons, have you guys learned from the effects of COVID in the industry, and, how, this is going to affect the way we do business moving forward?
So I can talk again. I think something that I have really enjoyed is getting to a place of authenticity, and I think it goes back to your comment, Sharon, about kindness and ultimately collaboration. And I think particularly as it relates to our industry, like you said, when we work together towards a common goal, it really works. And you make yourself vulnerable, and when you lead with kindness and the spirit of teamwork, it's like when you go back to when you were little and there's no I in team. I think all of us are committed to making the world a better place. And personally, we've heard across many different digital channels how the earth is healing itself. And it feels good to be a part of it, right? And we're all doing it together. Yeah. So I really hope that we will slow down, we will make thoughtful choices, and we will continue to be authentic and kind. That's something that I'm really going to try to slow down. It's very hard for me, to make thoughtful choices as we start to get back to whatever the new normal is.
Right. Yes, you're absolutely right. Thank you. And now I'm looking at the time, and the 60 minutes have gone by so quickly. I think we could have continued to talk, more in depth, but I wanted to thank, each one of you for your time. I'm really appreciative of you taking the time to explain more about your company to our attendees. As I mentioned to you earlier, every time I hear each one of you explain your product, I'm constantly learning, and I feel like I've taken away so much from our conversation, and I really hope that our listeners and that each one of my esteemed panelists, colleagues have also, benefited from this time. And I'm sorry to say our time has come to an end. And I'd like to close with, I think, a really appropriate quote for Activewear, by Michael Jordan, the great Michael Jordan. To quote him, "Talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence win championships." And I think that that's what we're all about. We want to make sure that, we're winning and offering solutions to our customers. So thank you very much. I'd also like to I'd like to point out here that we have our questions, or if you need more information, here is the email addresses for everyone on the panel. We'll also be sharing this at the end. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. And thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much to Ashley, our host, for helping putting this together, and everyone for your time. Stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you very much.